Welcome. It's another show. It's very exciting. I want to just start off the show by thanking everybody who got us past the one. We see it in the comments, the 1,000 subscriber mark. I just want to appreciate everyone who, contributed to that. And yeah, we're sitting at like 1,030 something. I put in the application to monetize things. YouTube is, well, hopefully they're not listening to this, but it's very slow, very, very slow. But yeah, you know the deal. Anyway, what do you guys have to say?
I mean, thank you to everyone. Obviously a huge milestone, and hopefully we keep cranking them out and everyone keeps finding some value and some use out of all the things we cover.
Yeah, no, I hope so.
I'm excited. I mean, future's bright. We're going to keep going. And hopefully, like Conan said, people find something good out of this show.
The people demand. We know that the people demand more content. We know that they do. That's right. I think this even came up before I started my sentence. We know the people demand more content. They want to hear more. So, I just appreciate that the people continue to demand it. And we will deliver for the people. We will always deliver. So, if you want more content, make sure to like the video. Leave a comment if you're watching it live. Comment in the chat, and we will read your question on the show. We are still at the point where we can read every question on this show. I do hope that one day we get to the point where we cannot read every question on the show. But on this show, we have never not read a question, except for the couple that were mean. There were sometimes a mean question. I don't read those. But otherwise, I have read every question on this show. And then, of course, subscribe to the channel. Even though we already passed the 1,000 subscriber mark, every subscriber still matters because that way you'll be notified about content, it'll come up in your feed and all of that. You really want to be notified about it. There's a bell on the video, just red bell. Hit the bell, then you'll really get notified about the content. But just subscribing is more than good enough. You'll get it in your feed if you subscribe. So, just appreciate everyone who's done all of those things. And, I couldn't do it without you. I mean, without the audience, this show is just me and these two talking to ourselves, which I did for quite a long time, often. But, I appreciate that there are actually people who watch and listen. And as we get into the NFL season, we don't have that many more shows. There are seven more shows including this, six after this one.
Okay.
And I have it all planned out. We're going to deliver. You're going to be very excited. We will have 4 more mock drafts between now and then. The people like mock drafts. We will give them 4 mock drafts, 3 redraft mocks. We have not done one other than Scott Fishbowl, but we will do some regular redraft mocks to get the people excited for redraft season. And then we will also have a Dynasty mock. I'll put all of that up on, as we go to give the people an idea of what's coming up. But the people should get excited. And then after that, we will move into the weekly recap, which we did last year. It will not begin at 1 a.m. like it did last time. It will be at the same time as this show. 2:00 Eastern on Monday. We will recap all of the games. It will be very exciting. All right. The recovering Ridley truther says Thursday was exactly 7 weeks until week 1. Yes, week 1 is coming up. The people must get excited for football. They must, because it has been a very boring offseason for the last few months. It was exciting earlier on, but it's been quiet lately, I would say. Jesse, all right, let's get to this one. Jesse says he has made a move that he thinks I'll like. Let's see about that. Traded Carson Failure, so that's Carson Wentz for anyone new, and Tony Pollard for Cam Akers in 10-team Superflex. What do you think about that?
That's a dub. I think he was right.
You think he was right? All right.
No.
Conan?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's super flex, so the QB is valued a little bit higher, but it's still Carson Wentz. I don't have too much faith that he's going to be, like anything better than a QB2 at best, which doesn't look like he needs by the looks of it. But I don't really know. I feel like it's pretty fair. I mean, Akers, I'm not that bullish on compared to some people in the industry and like some experts and stuff. Yeah, are you very, very bullish on Akers? So, yeah, I mean, I still probably would take the young running back. Obviously, he's recovered a little bit more recovered from his big injury, but yeah, I still like it, I guess.
I'll take Akers. Yes, you love mock drafts. And yes, we will allow the people to participate in the mock drafts. I will do a better job of getting the mock drafts out to the people. So get ready for that. Ooh, yes, the Hall of Fame game is next Thursday. I think we should remember. I will tell people, do not overreact to the preseason games. Be very careful. Be very careful in what you take away from the preseason games. Should do a Shark Week themed draft. What does that mean? Shark Week? What is that?
Do you not know what Shark Week is?
No.
I mean, it's an annual week in late July, maybe early August. That's just dedicated to sharks and like shows about sharks. And, one year they had Michael Phelps swimming against a shark, and they just have like all these shark themed shows and events and stuff like that.
I spent $0 on that, but I want my money back. It was an animated shark.
Yeah, it wasn't a real shark.
It's an actual shark.
That sounds like the biggest waste of time I've ever heard. Who would care about something like that? Sorry if
really into
sorry
sharks.
If I just alienated the audience, but I don't. Shark Week, the Discovery Channel. The Discovery Channel is still relevant in 2022. I didn't know they were relevant. I never heard of it.
Yeah, 1 week a year.
1 week a year. Yeah. I mean, since what Mythbusters was on the Discovery Channel, right?
Oh man, I miss Mythbusters.
Yeah, then when they actually had good shows, but that was a long time ago. Yeah, apparently I don't. All right, Cousins for Tannehill in a 23-second.
That feels even.
Yeah.
That feels like exactly split down the line. Like the values.
Right I'll take Cousins if I had to choose.
I was going to say, if I had to pick one, Cousins.
In a 10-teamer, I'd lean with the pick.
Yeah. I take Cousins, but I understand.
If this was 12, I'd go Cousins.
Yeah, it is what it is. All right, what's next?
So, I mean, I guess we got to get into the news, of course.
Yeah, let's get into the news. Let's play the news drop.
I haven't been home for 2 weeks before this.
So we don't have a news drop. All right, well, that was the news drop. Let's get into the news.
All right, so Michael Thomas is still on the pup. I know we have to do this again.
Why is he still on the pup? Why? Why is there a delay? I said this last week. The people said we saw the video. We saw the video of him running routes, and we heard what I said last week. I could have done that workout. I could have done it. He literally was running in a straight line on grass. I could have done that. We know that I am not a professional athlete or anything, but I was yes. Physically unwilling. This is it. This is a good one. Thank you, Patrick. I think this is the comment of the day.
Off the bat, I love it.
Physically unwilling to perform. Yes, well Michael Thomas, physically unwilling to perform. I couldn't agree more. Could not agree more. Shots were fired. No, they weren't fired. Go watch the video. You watch the video and you tell me if you couldn't do that workout, if you couldn't do that, then that's on you. But It wasn't very hard. He literally didn't do anything. Nothing. And he didn't even look that good doing it. This is supposed to be an NFL player, a professional athlete. I would expect a lot better for someone who's been injured. This injury was in September of 2020. Why is it still a problem in 2022? It's because it just seems to be a forever issue. Shouldn't be, but it is. So it is what it is. Elite comment from Peanut Butter Jelly Time. Elite comment. Inbox me, I will. I will not draft Michael Thomas. I don't think so. I would avoid him. At this point, he's been moving down my rankings, although I think I still have him the highest of the three of us, actually, oddly enough, in redraft. I have him at 29. I think it still makes me the highest of the three of us, but
he's definitely in my 30s at this point.
Yeah.
I'm just avoid at all costs at this point. I'm just scared off.
I'm starting to get there. Let's see, a little bit more of what happens, but I could get there. Could Leonard Fournette have done said workout? Yes, Fat Lenny. I think so.
Eddie Lacy could have done that workout.
Oh my God, Eddie Lacy. I can't do it.
Like, come on.
All right. Do we want to? I think we can move on from bashing on Thomas. I think he's gotten enough from me.
Why don't we move into the Mechie news?
Yeah, we'll come.
Right?
Yeah, we'll go to that. So I recorded wearing that Texans hat. I recorded a video last night. I don't really know why. I didn't really say anything, but I just said the obvious. I recorded a video talking about Mechie's, obviously his leukemia diagnosis and how, he's probably going to miss the whole season. And, it really is just kind of a sad thing. I mean, I don't anticipate, just given what I read, it doesn't seem like this is a life-threatening issue, but it does. He's not going to play this year. That's what he said. So he's not going to play. And for me, he's just a total. He's obviously don't draft him in a redraft or a best ball. In a dynasty format, I just don't. I would say, as someone who follows football, pay some attention to injuries. I just don't know that much about leukemia. I don't. An ACL, like at this point, I've figured out enough how to read into an ACL recovery. I'm not a doctor, but as someone who does this, as an analyst, I've figured that out. But I don't spend a lot of time, if any. This, I think, is the first time where we've had an active player have leukemia and then expect that player is expected to return, a fantasy player. So this is a first. So I don't have any reason, any advice on how long it's going to be, other than that the best case scenario is next year. It could be forever. But I don't even know. What do you do? If you have Mechie on your dynasty team, what do you do? What do you do with him?
I'm still a fan of the talent. Obviously, he's still recovering from his injury, let alone this whole situation. But from everything we've heard, it sounds like he's optimistic. The people around him are optimistic that this is, as they've described it, one of the most curable forms, and that he, they're kind of expecting him to be fine in the long run. But for the time being, this year, he's set to miss the year. And I think, the only other player I can really think of is, didn't James Conner go through? It wasn't quite the same.
It was a different kind of cancer.
Yeah.
And wasn't that cancer was before? It was when he was in college.
Exactly.
But he did. It's true. He did have cancer and come back.
Exactly. So he's fought through it. So there's obviously not the same. It's not exact comparison, but it's not like something that hasn't been done. And it seems like that whatever he had or was diagnosed with is probably harder to come back from than what we've heard everything described of what Mechie has been diagnosed with. So I'm just holding.
Connor missed. He tore his MCL in 2015, and then the cancer was found during the rehab process, and he played a full season in 2016. So he actually didn't miss any additional time. He didn't miss any additional time. So he just came back the next year and was just as good. So it is possible. All right, yeah, we're gonna talk about Mechie and all those things, because I see a lot of questions about Mechie in the chat. We're gonna get to those. I will say, I feel as if, for me, I don't even know. Like, I guess I'd like to get out, but what are you going to get out for? I mean, so I was like 50 spots above Mechie's ADP on his value. So I assume that when his value drops, I'm still going to be well above his ADP. Not the old one, but the new one. Like, I would expect the new ADP is going to be outside the top 200. And I put him at, in one QB, I put him at 176, wide receiver 77. To give you a comparison, I have Nico Collins at wide receiver 64. So higher, but not that much higher. Because I think John Mechie's far better player than Nico Collins. Okay. So let's finish up talking about Mechie, and then we'll get back to BJ's question. I'll talk about Collins. There's a bunch more questions about Mechie. Thoughts on John Mechie? We're talking about that. Best switches to Mechie for a speedy recovery, absolutely. And just you have to remember that it is cancer, so that can a form of cancer. So there's no guarantee that he comes back. Yeah, he was injured, but I expected him to be ready to play early in the season. Like whatever timeline you had Godwin on, he seemed like he was on that kind of time frame.
I think. No, continue. Sorry.
Yeah. Or Jameson, a little faster than Jameson. Like, he seemed like he was on a Godwin timeline where he would potentially be. It was a question of, was he going to play week 1, or was it going to be more like week 3, and then maybe full effectiveness would have come 5, 6, or 7. But I expected him by halfway end of the season to be healthy and a ramp up period. So I wouldn't say that. I mean, that he's definitely lost a lot of value. And yeah, essentially the track record of players who miss their entire rookie year for any reason is nothing. It's nothing. They all fail. All of them. Really. I mean, they really all do. There's no good examples that I can think of off the top of my head of a player who missed. Travis Etienne would be one of the first if he were successful. But this is also especially bad. I'm more likely to give more faith to someone who's a better prospect. John Mechie is not. You don't hold a spot on your team for John Mechie, right?
I was gonna say, like, on that sense, it's like,
let's say it was Jamar Chase. Let's say it was Jamar Chase. You don't want to wish it on anybody, but let's say it was Jamar Chase, for example. You're gonna count Jamar Chase as one of your top wide receivers for the future. Whereas now, I bet the way the Texans see it is, well, maybe John Mechie will come back. If he does, it's a bonus, but we're not going to rely on him or count on him. That's how I see it. That's a difference between him and a top prospect.
The thing with on a dynasty roster, the way I see it is, if a lot of them, they have, 5, 6 plus IR spots. And if you can put them on one of those, then I think, I'm just kind of holding. But there are leagues where you play where, it's only 2, 3 IR spots. And during the course of the season, you're really going to need those. So I think that honestly plays somewhat of a factor in whether to decide if it's like worth keeping him on my roster overall, or if I should just kind of try to get out and see what I can get. All
right. Okay. If you were offered let's say regular super flex tight end premium, if you were offered a 2023 random 2023 third for John Mechie, would you take it?
I think that's one of those situations where if I have like 5 plus IR spots and I can leave them there for the whole year, I think I'd just hold them. But if I have 2, 3, then yeah, why not? Just kind of gonna take that third.
Ryan?
Yeah, I agree with that one. I mean, it's tough.
It's
honestly.
It's not good enough to take in both ways. Like, if I have that extra spot that I can just kind of hold him not against my team roster count on the IR, then it's not a good enough offer to be like, okay, fine, I'm out. But if I need to, then yeah.
I'd probably take it. So
yeah, I mean, if it's like a second, I'll take it both ways for sure.
I would have taken I would taken a second for him before the draft started.
Yeah.
So
fair, yeah.
I don't, All right, let's get some of these. All right, so to finish up on this topic, what can I get for Nico Collins? So I can guarantee you that Nico Collins is going to be a sell for me now, because nothing changed. He didn't become more talented, but now he has more value. So he was a buy actually, for me. And now he's sell. Because generally when this happens, when there's an injury or in this case an illness for another player on the team that makes a marginal player, Alan Lazard, have more value, that player instantly becomes a sell. So Nico Collins is a sell to me. And a pretty, like, I will take any second round pick for Nico Collins without a second thought. Any second round pick. Even if I have to go to 2024. I'll take a 2024 second for Nico Collins. He just is not very good to me.
I was going to say you could probably get an early third, maybe, player in that range. I don't think you're going to get a second. I don't know.
You'd be surprised. People see the target vacuum and they get a little, overexcitable. They get overexcitable. So I would say that you maybe actually could. I would try anyway. If you have any shares to sell.
I mean, the worst thing that can happen.
Worst thing is you get rejected, right? I mean, is that really a bad thing?
Try it. I'm thinking in terms of what you could get.
Yeah.
That kind of was his draft stock last season anyway.
And he wasn't bad as a rookie, so
no.
I don't know if he should have lost value.
It's fair.
Well, anyway. Just draft Olave for cheaper over Michael Thomas. Yeah, I like that. Actually, I talked about this. Who's the tight end 2 on the Rams? Late round taxi stash if Higbee's ever out. Yeah, the problem is that there's 3 of them, which makes it probably not the one you want to go into, because it's not that high value of a position in the first place. There's Kendall Blanton, Bryson Hopkins, and Jacob Harris. I think it's Kendall Blanton. It feels like it's Kendall Blanton. The depth chart says it's Kendall Blanton, but
I think he stepped up when they needed last year as well to some degree.
But then he went out and Hopkins.
Yeah,
Jacob Harris has never done anything. So it's least likely to be him. But I do think it's Kendall Blanton, but I wouldn't. This isn't a situation I'm looking to invest in. All right.
Yeah.
Michael Thomas of videos. Oh, my God. All right. Thoughts on Josh Palmer in 2021 and Van Jefferson as well. I will take these one at a time. So there was the report from Josh about the Chargers that Josh Palmer has the wide receiver 3 role locked down. I really hope he does. But unless Keenan Allen or Mike Williams gets hurt, I can't see Josh Palmer doing much. So I have him at wide receiver 72, but I don't hate drafting him because I do think he is a good player and he could get an opportunity for some short-term value if Allen or Williams goes down or loses effectiveness. But if those 2 stay healthy, he's not worth much.
Yeah, pretty much agree there. It's just the way that their depth chart works. He's just a talented young player, but if those 2 above him, and they obviously brought in Everett, who they say is going to be a part of this passing game, and so I just don't know how much is going to be left for that 3rd wide receiver.
I mean, if you could get a decent player on a good offense at a cheap ADP, you try to do that, right?
Yeah, that's why I don't mind drafting him.
Mm-hmm.
But
I mean, what's he doing in best ball right now? Wide receiver 66, so it's close to your ranking.
That's not that appealing. There are other players in that range.
Yeah, that is actually quite a lot higher. But
yeah, that's not that appealing if that's where he is. So I guess I'll pass. And then a Van Jefferson, no thank you. No thank you on Van Jefferson. I'll totally pass on him. I expect him to re-sign OBJ to play the back half of the year anyway. I just think Van Jefferson is bad. We know that Van Jefferson is bad. I don't think he's any good. Just because he's better than Tutu Atwell doesn't mean he's good. That's kind of the thing. Tutu Atwell sucks, man. Sorry, Tratarius. That's Tutu's real name. Tratarius Atwell. Ask it once. Mike Williams, okay. Just for this year only, do you think Nico Collins would do anything? No. I have Nico Collins at wide receiver 65. So, in redraft, so no. No, I don't think the Texans are. I think it's Brandon Cooks, and that's it. If Brandon Cooks got hurt, maybe. I still don't think Nico Collins would be Brandon Cooks, but he could maybe be a wide receiver low end 3. Maybe. I just think Davis Mills is not gonna be it. He's like 50% of Mac Jones. Like, he's not exciting.
He's the best rookie QB last year. Come on now.
No, Mac was the best rookie QB.
I don't know. It's close.
But like Davis Mills is like Mac Jones with no upside at all. He's just like boring, safe, doesn't do much, not going to add to his fantasy weapons. So I think that Nico Collins, I'm just not really expecting a second wide receiver to excel there. So I'll pass on him. Again, he's a big sell for me in Dynasty now. Yes, I do think this will be the case, though. I think Cooks will lead the team and Nico Collins will be the number 2. Unless it's Brevin Jordan, but I don't think it'll be Brevin Jordan. Yeah, but I kind of honestly always expected them to re-sign Mike Williams. Yeah, no, he was okay. No, Davis Mills was okay. He's okay. I mean, he's kind of similar, not in play style or in effectiveness or any of the other ways, but he's probably similar in talent to Baker Mayfield. He's like the 25th best quarterback, 25th to 30th best quarterback on planet Earth. He's fine. He won't win you anything. You can't win with him.
He'll ruin the Chargers' playoff hopes, though.
Yeah, but he's nothing special.
That was incredible. Like he had moments last year, though.
All right, pick between these 3: Abram Smith, Keontae Ingram, or Snoop Connor.
Oh, it's Abram Smith now, right?
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
No, it isn't. No, it's Keontae Ingram, who's actually a good prospect. The other two are nothing. They're terrible prospects.
So
yeah, I mean, I might have said Snoop before we got to other news we'll get to later about James Robinson, but
we haven't even gotten to that.
Now it's Keontae, I think, for sure. I mean, I know they gave Abram Smith like a pretty sizable UDFA contract, but like, isn't Mark Ingram still there? Like, yeah. I mean, I expect him to be that backup, the RB2 spot locked down. So.
Yeah.
I still see it as Abram Smith.
Who wins the Steelers starting job week 1?
Mitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Mitch.
Money Mitch.
It's Mitch. All right, next.
So, next up, I have the box score up for the Texans game. The Justin Ross mysterious injury. I didn't hear about this one.
Yeah, apparently he's in a walking boot.
Yeah. I mean, I saw that he was put on the PUP with an undisclosed injury. And then I thought that was pretty mysterious too.
I don't think he's going to make the team. I
don't like it. Yeah.
I think people are overly excited. I'm not in on him. I never was. So not for you.
Right there with you.
Yeah. So no thanks. Non-tight end premium, Waddle and early mid 23 first for Pitts. That's Waddle side.
If it was tight end premium, I'd be all over the Pitts side, but
no, I'd still take the Waddle side, even in a tight end premium. It's early.
You cannot project picks a year out. It is dangerous. I say it every time.
If I miss on it, then I still have Waddle. But if I hit on it and that's Waddle and Bijan, then Waddle's still good.
It is 10 teams. I'll give you that. But
yeah, the odds are better.
Yeah.
Kyle Pitts is.
Yeah, I'll take Will Waddle side.
He's that guy.
A pickup of the week for you guys, if anyone. Like we're talking waivers in Dynasty.
If we're talking Dynasty waivers,
like, I mean, I don't know.
I'm trying to think of what recent news.
Yeah, what recent news
could affect? Maybe Isaiah McKenzie.
Let's go for it.
I don't care about Isaiah McKenzie.
Yeah, I mean, just the reports that he's the slot, the guy that's been running in the slot in the first team offense. Why not?
Yeah, well, maybe. I wouldn't get overly excited about that one. I don't know. Yeah, no, there's nobody really for me.
Who was it? Someone.
Yeah, no. Nobody exciting.
Yeah, not really.
Deal to acquire Justin Jefferson. Okay, first one, ETN 109 and 24 first. Second one, Sanders 109, 23 first and 24 first. Or the third one, Swift and 109. So which, if any of these, would you go for Justin Jefferson? 12-team super flex. Well, I would go for. I mean, I would do deal C.
I do deal C. Yeah, I
I'll
agree.
do deal C.
In
109
standard-
is nothing special.
In standard scoring with DeAndre Swift, I do.
Yeah, I'll do deal C. Now, deal B
It's
is
interesting with that 23 first,
Yeah.
24 first.
I mean, I would say in theory, I mean, Justin Jefferson is worth more than all of these offers. But what would you prefer? I mean, would you rather? I mean, I guess between deal A and deal B, it's what would you rather? Sanders and a 23 first or ETN?
It's interesting, like the tiered style of these trade offers, where it's
weird.
It's like worst running back plus 109 plus the first and
This
first,
is
or
a weird,
a little better and two of those things.
This is a weird one. I will say, I think I'd rather have the 23 first in standard scoring. I'd rather have the 23 first over ETN at all, let alone with Miles Sanders. So deal A, we can forget about deal A. Or no, we can forget about deal B. Forget about deal B. I don't want to do deal B.
So I thought you said you do care about the 23 first. No,
I do. So we're giving up these things. So I don't want to give up the 23 first.
Oh, these are to acquire.
So giving up these things. So I don't want to do deal B. I don't want to do deal B. So it comes down to deal A or deal C. So it's really, what do I prefer? ETN and 24 first or Swift? I think I'd still, especially with today's news, I think I'd still rather have Swift over ETN and 24 first. So if I prefer to have Swift, then I would do deal A. I would do deal A to get Justin Jefferson. Deal A. I think I would. That's where I've come to a conclusion.
Hold on, pause, Spock. You have 3 trade offers for Justin Jefferson in your inbox.
No. I know what's going. I'm aware.
Yeah,
I'm aware of more
now
than you guys are. I know what's going on here. It's someone from my Patreon.
I would trade away the deal A as well. I think the most.
We're trying to get Jefferson, and I would go deal A.
I've seen him. I've seen JJ deals for much more than that. So like 2 solid players and the 2-3 firsts. So
all right, let's move on. Okay, I will say I'm going to skip this and this because we're going to talk about that later. That's in the show sheet, literally. So we will get to that when we get to that later. Okay, what would you need for Gabe Davis? I was offered a 24 second, but it felt light.
I mean,
try to get a 23 second.
I want more.
I want more.
You want more?
I want more. Yeah.
The hype train is.
I mean, I think I've mentioned this already on here before, but I have traded him away for a 23 first straight up.
I'll take
in numerous trades. In more than one. And there's a couple where
where was my invite to these leagues though? Why didn't you invite me? You didn't.
When is it my turn?
These are like dynasties I started when I first got into Sleeper like a few years back. But I mean, it's like, even if I had to package a second or a third or something this year with him to get the first next year, I was down.
Jesse commented that like right as you said it. Gave it a second for a first.
Yeah, I'll do that.
I'd do that.
Juwan Jennings could be a nice add, maybe.
Yeah.
The San Francisco wide receiver, maybe.
How much pass volume is there really to go around for Debo, Ayuk, Kittle, and then now Jennings?
Unless Ayuk revisits the doghouse.
Yeah.
Maybe. No. Chris Conley sucks. He's not very good. He had many chances. We know he had his chances. But I think apparently he's on the Texans. That's why he's being mentioned. I didn't even know that. It's bad if I don't even know. All right, next.
All right. There were some rumors going around this week that the Falcons may be potentially in on Jimmy Garoppolo. So
we'll talk about maybe when it happens.
I know. I just had to bring it up.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I think
keep an eye on it.
That shows that they see what I saw. Right? They see what I saw. If you watched any of Marcus Mariota play, I really am sorry that you wasted your time on watching mediocre honestly, mediocre is too kind. Bad quarterback play. Bad quarterback play. If you watched any of Marcus Mariota in the past, you would know that the offense that he runs is vomit-inducing, and you wouldn't want to watch that offense. So I agree that the Falcons would be better off. I don't know why they care, because they're not going to win very many games this year anyway. But
they care about our fantasy teams.
Yeah, they care about that. But no, whatever.
We'll see. I thought it was funny. I was like doing a little bit of Mariota, digging into his season, his best season at least, and he somehow made Rashard Matthews
better to do.
I mean, it was when I was doing just for work research for our superlatives, and I was let's see what's going on there. And
I spend my research time on players who are relevant.
I was trying to find a nice deep sleeper for a QB, and I was like, cool, maybe I'll go Marcus, and I was like, I couldn't do anything.
Well, because he sucks. That's why. I could have told you that without looking.
He made Rashard Matthews a 950-yard and 9-touchdown receiver, which is pretty impressive, honestly.
What's up, Chris?
Can you hear Tyler?
I can't hear Tyler. Tyler, your mic is technical difficulty.
We can't. Yeah.
I heard that.
We can read that.
I heard that, but I didn't hear that.
Yeah. All right. I thought I was confused.
So we're having technical difficulties here. Are you muted?
No.
Now he is. Okay. I guess we could go into the.
How did I get muted?
Oh, there we go.
You didn't get muted. It was your mic.
When did you stop being able to hear me?
Whatever you said.
Fuck this.
Just now.
Fuck all the technology. Like, fuck that. When did? What was the last thing I said?
Great question.
Was it about how? Did we get to the part where Marcus Mariota was bad? Did we hear about that?
Yeah, we heard about that.
Oh,
we
heard
about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. We heard about that. We heard about how bad he was.
I don't think we need to talk about
we've already wasted enough time on Marcus Mariota.
Let's keep moving.
What's next?
Let's
Murray's
get there.
Extension.
Yes, Kyler Murray got $230 million.
I think it was we expected him to get a big extension. I think so. I don't see it as a.
And the Cardinals beat the Ravens to it. So
I know. Well, Lamar's negotiating his own contract.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see how that goes.
I hope it goes better than it did for Russell Okung.
Yeah, it didn't go very well for Russell Okung.
Didn't he get it all in Bitcoin?
Or Richard Sherman.
Didn't Okung get it all in Bitcoin?
It was no, that was I forget who that was, but no,
Okung,
that was the problem with Okung.
That was a Trevor Lawrence endorsement deal that you're thinking.
Well, that was also another disaster.
that wasn't his rookie signing bonus. That was just an endorsement.
Oh, okay.
So it's not a disaster.
Yeah.
But next up, we have no extension imminent for Debo. Do we have any concerns about that? I mean, we've seen wide receivers leave all off season. Is Debo going to be next?
I'd say that he's going to play this year because he has no choice. He has no choice. I mean, that's the reality. The reality of this is that he has no choice. He's going to play. Now, not every player can force their way. Most of the time, these trade requests are accommodated, but they aren't. It's still not always accommodated. So, if they want him to play and don't want to give him a long-term deal that he wants, I'm sure they'll give him a long-term deal, just maybe not under the terms he wants. They're far apart. So then, what happens after the year? Like, do they franchise him? Do they continue, or do they just? I mean, we've yet to really see someone like of this caliber hit the actual open market. Ever. I mean, who's the last wide receiver to hit the open? Who's the last top tier wide receiver to actually hit free agency without an injury or extenuating circumstances? I mean, Chris Godwin did. Or Chris Godwin and Mike Williams got close, but they signed their extensions before, and they're not top tier. They're not Debo. So I don't know if Debo is going to get. I don't think Debo is going to get to free agency. But I think it's getting a little late for a Debo trade at this point. I don't anticipate him being traded.
Yeah.
I think this is about money. And it's always been about money. And I think what it is that Debo wants to get a lot of money now and doesn't want to go back to the Debo role without a guaranteed deal because he's likely to get hurt playing that role.
Yeah, I mean, he made a video with his trainer where I think the trainer said he was about to get paid or something like that. So I mean, I'm not too worried about it. I don't think there's
I think
that much to it.
There's still time.
Yeah,
and I think a lot of the problem is they need to get Garoppolo's contract off the books before they can really actually afford to pay Debo. Although most of these contracts actually lower the salary in the current year, so it wouldn't actually. They don't actually need to do that, but maybe that's why. I'm not exactly sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We've answered this actually on the show already, but we'll go with Hurt. I answered this already a couple weeks ago. I went with Hurts in 101 then. So I think we'll do it again. All right. I'm not going to take too much time to answer this, so I'll just answer, and I'll say that, yes, he's probably going to play again. He's not worth that much. I'm not confident. He looked bad before he went out last season, so... If he looked good, it would be a different story, but it didn't. So
he looked like he was cooking the books.
Oh, my God. All right. Would you pay 223 first, Matt Ryan, and Jameis Winston for Justin Herbert?
Yes.
Yes.
Easy.
Yes, we don't need to spend more time on that. Would you move Treylon Burks for Travis Etienne if you could straight up? Straight up choice.
But yes.
Yeah.
I would also. But it's closer than it was. It's closer than it was. All right, next.
All right, last thing on the news is that James Robinson is not on the PUP.
James Robinson is not on the PUP, right? So anyone can be put on the camp PUP. Well, they can start on the camp PUP. If they're not put on the camp PUP, then there are rules. So there's no downside to putting someone on the camp PUP. You actually gain a roster spot by putting someone on the camp PUP. So the only reason not to put someone on the camp PUP is if they're healthy enough to participate. You want them to participate. If you're on the PUP, you can't participate. So they think he's healthy enough to participate in something. I don't know what he's participating in, but he must be participating in something. Otherwise, he would still be on the PUP. So he's participating in something, which means that he's going to play week 1. It's just that simple. He's going to play. If he's not on the PUP, that means he is, according to them, healthy and ready to participate. So he should be ready to play week 1. I don't think he's going to. Now, how good he's going to be, what role he's going to have, any of that, that is a different story. Doesn't mean he's going to be good. It doesn't mean he's going to have a lot of carries. Doesn't mean he's the starter. Doesn't mean any of that. But he will be active. He will play week 1. So keep that in mind. He will play. So in redraft, I moved him all the way up to running back 40. I had him on like 50 because I didn't think there was any chance I didn't think he was going to play week 1. Now that I know he is, again, it makes no sense unless there's a re-aggravation, which there always could be. But if there's not, he's going to play. So I have him at running back 40 in redraft. And in Dynasty, I have him at 37. Because I actually think he's very good. We've seen 2 years of him being an RB1. He's very good. And I think that, he's a restricted free agent after this year. I think that they don't play games with him. They're going to have to spend at least probably the second round tender. If they spend the UDFA tender, someone will tender him an offer sheet and he'll walk. So they'll have to spend at least the second round tender, which is not cheap. It's like $4 or $5 million. So I don't know if they're even going to do that. So I think he could, or they could trade him. I don't think they're going to play it ugly with him. So eventually I think he'll be on another team and we'll see. But I do like him. And we know he can be an RB1. He was an RB1 in a horrible offense twice in a row for two seasons, parts of 2 seasons, most of it, 13, 14 games. So yeah, he's someone in Dynasty I don't mind at this point now that it looks like he's ahead of schedule.
Yeah, the very late scoops of James Robinson and Scott Fishbowl recently are proving to be, good choices. I mean, I think obviously we saw Cam Akers returned from an Achilles injury. That's what he had, right? James Robinson, Achilles, right? Yeah. So I mean, we saw him return in 4 or 5 months or something. So I mean, it's
it wasn't
interesting.
4 or 5 months. It was injured around now and returned in.
Yeah.
I guess it was. 5
It was like 5, yeah, right.
Yeah, I guess
so
it was
I mean,
5.5 months.
Robinson's had an extra month, 2 months extra to recover. Which it still seems ridiculous. Like you said, it's crazy that they don't even feel the need to start him on the pup after this. That's how good he's looking and he's recovered. Like that's awesome to see and hear. But yeah, no, I mean, we've seen him be an absolute stud, undrafted on a horrible team. So, I mean, I'm all about J-Rob in the later rounds.
Yeah. Ryan, your bed looks good.
Yes. We made it 45 minutes without a bed comment, so I think that is a win.
Yeah. How many games does J.K. Dobbins miss?
I'm gonna say 4.
I don't know at this point.
I'm
not willing to make a prediction. It's more than 0. I can say that. It's more than 0. How does this affect your ETN redraft ranking? Oh, not that much. I mean, I have him at 19. I had him at 18 before.
I'm just happy that his ADP is going to go the other way in best ball. It was getting way too high.
Well, I was never in on that.
It was at 33.3 the last draft I did like this week. So he's going firmly in the 3rd round. He was going in the 5th like a month ago. So
yeah. All right. I'll Lamar or Hurts, Pittman, and Fournette. 10-team Superflex. I mean, guess I'll take Lamar.
I will too, but if Hurts gets that contract, that side looks pretty nice.
I think I'm just taking that shot on the other side.
Lamar. Yeah. Oh, whatever. We're not gonna spend more time on that.
Yeah. Let's get into it.
Next.
Getting into our Scott Fishbowl team. So give me 1 second. You can talk about whatever. I don't know whose team I'm going to pull up first. I saved them all as image, so we're just going to figure this out as we go.
Let's just do it.
Where's it at? Of course, it's not working for me right now. Of course. Okay, there we go. Okay, we're going to go Tyler's team first.
Yes, my team first. That's my team. Yay me.
I mean, looking at it, lots of running backs late. I just noticed that. A lot of red.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the strategy, right? Take running backs late.
See a couple guys we're going to talk about as well.
Yeah. I don't know. I think this looks like very much a team that I would draft. Yeah, I kind of got lazy after the 16th round. I just kind of wasn't paying much attention, so I just drafted whoever. And Jimmy Garoppolo in the 17th could really pay off.
I feel like that's where you lost the attention, because Jimmy Garoppolo is a fantastic pick in the 17th.
Yeah, and then 18th after. I mean, honestly, like Mark Ingram's fine. Jamal Williams.
Oh yeah. Fine. I mean, we never know when that suspension's going to hit.
That's why, even if I only get 4 games of decent Mark Ingram, it might be worth it. But yeah, I think we can. I've talked about my team a lot. So I'm
kind of stunned at the Rondale Moore pick a little bit.
Wow.
I know you've explained it in detail, but still kind of stunning.
I mean, it's all about like, ADP and the value.
You're kidding me. It pulled up Tyler's team again. Hold on. I messed it up. All right, well, why does it say every team is your team? It's oh god.
Well, I mean,
technology.
We know that the people want to hear about my team, but they like your teams too. All right, let me address this while you fix the tech issues. Do you plan to do the Thursday show again once the season begins? No. No, I don't. And I don't know if where I've announced this, but here's the plan. So I'm going to have SDLF Tuesday, 9 p.m. Like always, that's not going to change. This show will be the recap show. It's going to be at Monday, 2 p.m. Eastern. That won't change. It'll just always be a weekly recap. Every week we will recap the week. That's what this show will become. During the season, it'll be easy. No show sheet. I mean, there'll be a show sheet, but it'll always be the same. We'll recap. We'll talk about, we won't really talk start sit on this show, but we will talk about recap, dynasty impact, and like general redraft. We'll talk some waivers, even if it's Monday. We'll still dive into that a little bit, but mostly it'll be a recap of the games and then a lot of dynasty talk, because I'm going to do, I'll do during the season. I do most of the start sit stuff on Twitter. More so than on live shows. I will say, so there won't be a Thursday show. I am doing, and this is subject to be honest with the people, this is subject to you guys actually watching it. If you don't watch it, this show will not continue. But I am doing a show. I will do a 30-minute start sit show on Sunday mornings on the DLF YouTube channel. But I will say that if the viewership, that is, Sunday mornings are crazy for me. I answer a lot of questions on Twitter. If the viewership for that show is not high, that show will not continue. So if you guys like it, it'll be simulcast on here. So it'll be on here. It'll be on there. I'm doing it on DLF to try to get more viewers for it. But again, that's up to you guys. If you guys have questions and you want to ask them live, it'll be at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, I think. It's what we are like. That was our soft plan. So we will have the Sunday morning show. I'll be doing it solo to honestly just because I'm faster solo. And on Sunday mornings, we just got to boom. We don't want to have extra dialogue, extra debate. We just want to boom, get the answers. So we're going to be doing that on Sunday mornings. But again, show that's the kind of thing where like, it's not like this show. It's not like the Tuesday SDLF. Like those shows will continue no matter what. That show is dependent on the people wanting it. So, I just, again, I appreciate anyone who tunes in live. And, I know I'm competing on Sunday morning against fantasy pros, the fantasy footballers. I know that is going to be a tough competition for me to win, or even forget winning, but even make any dent. So, just any support would be great. But I will say that I won't force it. If the demand for that show is low, I will still be there for the people, but I will use my time to be there for the people on Twitter and answer your questions on Twitter, because I am faster on Twitter. But I do, if there's any demand, if there's good demand for it, I do want the live show option to be there if people want that. So we will see how it goes. I'll do the shows starting week 1, Sunday morning, and then, again, I'll be evaluating that as it goes along. But assuming that the audience is good, I plan to do it for the whole season. I've already booked out my calendar to allow me to do it. So that's the answer about the Thursday show. But Thursday show, no, there won't be a Thursday show. I don't think that show was working. What's your 101 food to watch football on Sunday? I don't.
Wings.
I don't have Buffalo chicken dip.
Ooh.
I don't. How about coffee? Coffee. Like honestly, I don't know. Coffee. Other things, that I might need that might calm me down are things that I might want to put in my body on Sunday. Anyway, let's move on. This team.
All right, Conan.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I ended up with. Obviously, I kind of had a small kind of game plan where I had 3 to 4 quarterbacks. I was obviously the 12 spot at that turn. And out of those 3 or 4 quarterbacks that I really liked, if 2 of them were sitting there for me, I said, all right, I'm just going to double tap, get my 2 quarterbacks, and then I don't really have to worry about another one for, bunch of rounds. So that's the route I took. I had Dak and Aaron Rodgers still available to me at the turn. Took those 2, got Dalvin and as my RB1, took the shot on Javonte.
RB17 is ridiculous.
I know. RB17 for Javonte is completely insane.
Yeah. So, I mean, I haven't really been taking that many shots on Javonte just because of, his ADP is pretty high at this point. People are kind of expecting him to break out and be really good. But at that spot,
I
RB
can't believe he fell
17.
to 17 though. Like I have him ranked at 9. And I think like consensus has him 11 or 12. 17 is insane. I've never seen that. He went in the 3rd in almost every draft I saw. So that's my favorite pick. I mean, 3 of our first 5 picks are the same. I mean, I started the 11, but I picked Dak in the 1st, Dalvin in the 3rd, and AJ Brown in the 5th, just like you did.
Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, I waited a little bit to get my wide receiver 1, and thank you, FF Lefty. But I still feel like AJ Brown as my wide receiver 1. That's not really that bad.
No, this is a good team. I'd like it better if it didn't have Allen average on it. But sorry, actually, that's very inaccurate. Allen below average. Below average, I think, is more accurate. Below average. But, it was doing very well. The team was doing very well for the first 6 rounds. And then we went a little. Elijah Mitchell's fine. I mean, Hunter Renfrow is fine.
Elijah Mitchell, I think at that spot, I'm regretting. I think I took him over Mike Williams, and that's the one I regret.
Yeah, I might have taken
That's the one I regret.
And a 3 wide receiver, I think I would have gone. You only had 2 wide receivers and 2 running backs. I would have gone with Mike Williams.
I mean, looking back, obviously, that's the one where I really feel like I may have messed up. But look,
I do think that Rashad White, I like that one. I like that one in the 12th. The Scantling is fine. I mean, really, Renfro is fine. But Gage to me was a value. Lazard, not so much. You have a lot of picks where I have right on my number. Like Renfro, I believe I have at 38. Komet, I have at 14. Gage, I have at 40, 41. Valdez Scantling, I think you have at 51. So it's very similar.
You said you had James Robinson at RB 40 now, I believe, right?
I do.
And so that RB 56, it's looking real
really
nice.
That looks really good for sure.
Real good.
Gus Edwards, I have it with the Dobbins news. I have it 44. So I like that one as well. Marcus Mariota, I think, is a little bit of a waste. I mean, it looked a lot. I think you'd rather have Jimmy G, and I think. And
that was a mistake of mine where he actually has the same bye week as one of the 2 starters too, and I just completely missed that.
I don't think Marcus Mariota will be starting when we get to bye weeks. And this is also true. You picked Nico Collins, and I like that at 86. I mean, I had him ranked even before this. I had him in the 70s, but now I had him at 60. I moved him up 10 spots. So that's one of the best values in this whole draft. If I had to say a favorite pick, it's Javonte Williams. That's your by far.
Just because of how late he went, I think I agree.
Let me get to some of these. Used to do Fantasy Pro start sits. There's thousands of comments. You're lucky to get question read, let alone 2. Let me just tell you though. Let me say this. I want to say this. It's a serious note, and actually serious. That show, when Mike Tagliere hosted it, I never submitted a question. I never actually asked him. But when Mike Tagliere hosted it, that was one of the best shows, if not the best. Start-sit shows. I would love if my show, he did it solo as well. I would love if my show were anywhere near that good. So I always watch that show. Not coincidentally, obviously we all miss him, but since he, is gone, I have not watched anyone else's start-sit content on Monday morning. So, I will say, I hear this, and that's one of those. There's thousands of comments. That's great, but it is hard. I just would like it. I want to get to a point where maybe I can't get to all the comments, but I just don't want to be sitting there with no comments because that's time I could have spent them on Twitter, actually answering questions on Twitter instead of just sitting on a live show. So just, again, just come in, ask a question. I promise I'll answer it. I don't expect to have hundreds. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, and I'm going to have hundreds of questions, and then we'll have to reevaluate it. I mean, AskDLF has hundreds, so I could be wrong. But just, I know DLF has had trouble filling that Sunday morning start-sit show for years, and I am hoping that I can do a good job. but it's been a spot that I've struggled in. I struggled in on this channel. I struggled to do it even in the couple that I did on DLF. So it is a difficult spot going up against the big accounts and the big YouTube channels. So just, any support from all of you guys is much appreciated. And you've all been great so far. Coffee, bruh. I mean, dude, coffee's the best. I put my Patreon link in the channel. Just remember that if you want, you get 30 minutes of Start Sit Show, but the whole Start Sit rankings is going to be on the Patreon. You can get all of my rankings. So, if you want the weekly Start Sit rankings, they're there. And I think that's one of the best things about the Patreon is actually the Start Sit during the season. I update them every week. I update them like every day during the season. Yeah, no, Alex team, Roger Lazard sack. Yeah. Javante was great. Yes, we talked about this. Absolutely. Yeah, no. Tags is the first Fantasy Pros was the first podcast I listened to. So yeah, he's one of the people who got me into fantasy football as well. And I think I've told this story on here, but he actually followed me like 2 days before he got sick. I was like, and it's like, it's sad. Like I remember being very excited about that. Like I was very excited that happened. And I was like looking forward to interacting with him. And then I never had the chance. And it's one of those things, you think about, but that's why you have to, just enjoy life while you have it, because you never know when you're not going to have it anymore. Oh, sorry, got a little dark there, but let's don't worry. We're gonna continue. That's what he would want anyway. Everyone always said that. The people who are like close to him, like he would want us to all keep creating our content and not not dwell or be sad about it or anything like that. Josh Jacobson, 23 seconds. We got to get to the main part of the show, so I'll just answer this and say I'll take Derrick Henry. All right. Oh, we still have Ryan's team. Jeez.
Oh boy,
I do. Okay,
I know which pick.
I do like having shows like this where we don't have like a big main. We do have something, the superlative stuff, but like it's not a mock draft. So like I do like having some shows like this because you guys have been great in the chat asking questions, and at the end of the day, from Ask DLF, what I really want to do is answer the questions and comments from the people in the chat. That's always going to be the number one priority of my shows, and that's not going to change. So just appreciate everyone who tunes in live. Go ahead.
I mean, I feel like I'm going to get some criticism here for not stacking Burrow and Chase in the first 2 rounds.
I don't think so.
I don't know. I know which pick I was value-based drafting except for every pick except 708.
Let's see. All right. Burrow at 5 is fine. Jefferson at 208, I mean, is great. Hutch took him at 111.
Wow.
I would have taken Kupp, but I took Kupp at 202, so I would have been ecstatic to get Kupp. Swift at 308 is great. Evans at 405 is okay. Not.
You know how I feel about Mike Evans.
ETN now is not looking quite as good. Lawrence is a value there. That's a good pick. Singletary, no thank you. We'll talk about that in a bit. Elijah Moore
and Jaguars.
Elijah Moore is a good pick. Chris Godwin, if he comes back, is a good. 8 through 10, you really nailed it with those wide receivers. Great value, especially on Kirk. Kirk at wide receiver 39 is excellent. Irv Smith, fine. Rojo, I think I picked him in a similar spot, so fine. Boyd, meh. Gallup, meh. I don't think I would have wasted time on Gallup. He's not going to play the first few weeks. Marvin Jones is a hard pass for me. Ingram is good there. I wish you'd gotten him where I did 2.5 rounds later. 54 is it's not quite as good as 60 something. Desmond Ridder, I like it with the rushing upside. That one, solid. Paris Campbell, waste of time.
We're going to get into this again, aren't we?
Yeah, I don't know why you bothered. Kickers, whatever. And Troutman, wouldn't have drafted him with a pick in this format. And Kyle Rudolph, interesting.
I got that while he was a free agent.
All right, then I like it a lot. I wouldn't have, even now I wouldn't draft Kyle Rudolph.
There is a report that came out today. I don't know if you saw it that he's going to inherit most of the Gronk role. I was like, come on. Come on. Who is pushing this?
Kyle Rudolph's family.
I wish I worked at Dunder Mifflin.
Who wins? Debo and Damian Harris for 23 first, second, and Hawk premium.
How big's the premium?
It's going to have to be pretty big. Well, if it's super flex with a big premium, it's not bad. It's not bad. I mean, I've seen worse. Yeah. How big's the premium? I'll lean Debo, but I've seen worse. It's not bad. All right, let's run through some of these. We're not going to get to all of these. I already cut out like a lot of the ones you put on the show sheet because there were way too many.
Yeah,
I was going to town. You thought we were going to get to 30 of these.
Dude, I was just putting stuff on the show sheet, man.
Yeah, no, we're not going to get to 30.
I mean, real quick about Scott Fishbowl 13. Underdog's doing a really great thing. If you make the finals of the tournament, you get an automatic entry into Scott Fishbowl 13. So,
well, I love that. Support our friends
this year. It's a great way to get in.
Support our friends at Underdog.
I believe it all goes to JJ Watt's charity. Am I correct?
I
believe so. I could double check that real quick.
Well, double check it later.
Yeah, we can keep going as I check it.
Yeah, let's go. What's next?
So we're actually getting into the superlatives now.
Where's you need the music drop though to get into the superlatives. Where's my music drop?
I said I was on vacation.
Wait, let me try one. Let's see how this goes. That's the music drop. All right, let's go.
Who wants to be a millionaire?
Let's go.
But most likely to outperform ADP. I think we could run through this really quick because we all put the same answer.
All right, you want to just say it all at once?
I mean, yeah, why not?
All right, 1, 2, 3. Trey Lance. You guys, 1, 2, 3. What
dude, I can't count that high, bro. Come on now.
Bruh.
Too much credit out here.
Bruh. Fuck. You can't even count. Oh, man. All right. BB Mania. I don't know the format of BB Mania. So we're gonna have to come back to that.
Kelsey.
All right. Thank you. 1.5 premium, then I'll take Debo. Tyler putting Ryan to work now that no. Well, first of all, maybe there'll actually be some money for me to pay Ryan. That if there's we're paying for this. Right now we're splitting the money from this YouTube channel a third. Zero. 3 ways. So hopefully the monetization allows there to be something. But obviously I'll pay myself back for the StreamYard that I paid for.
Yeah, that's expensive.
And once we can cover that, we'll see about
taking care of that first. We had that talk already.
I have my own StreamYard, so yeah. Thank you. And we did that. Disagree on Trey Lance? Well, I'm sorry you disagree, but he has the rushing upside. Anything else?
What was his ADP on Fantasy Pros again? I forget.
It's QB 14.
Okay, so maybe Patrick agrees with the best ball side of things because best ball is going at QB 9 right now. Maybe that's where the confusion sets in.
Yeah,
because that is a little high, but I still think he can crush that.
Yeah. But let's focus less on best ball because to be honest, I don't do best ball. So most of the people
I'm just saying that's why I disagree.
Yeah.
That's the only time I'm bringing up best ball.
Most of the people we don't. There's a reason we don't get a lot of best ball questions on the show because I don't do best ball. So I think it's important. My show.
I think it's important just to note because of what season we're in that we're not looking at best ball numbers where that ADP is like really inflated for some of these people.
Well, that's why I'm mentioning.
We just don't have like the accurate numbers to redraft.
Make sure to sign up for the Patreon. There's the link to the Patreon. I always forget, but I'm gonna start promoting it. I've been told by the patrons that I do not promote the Patreon enough. I've been told that I should promote it more. That I should talk about it more. That's what I've been told. So yeah, please sign up. I don't want to be whatever, but I really do think that the $5 a month tier is actually a solid value. You get all my rankings, you get the Discord, you get all my Patreon shows. $5 a month is a pretty reasonable price to get all of that. So I do think that's a good value. The higher tiers are nice if you want detailed team management to talk about it with DMs. But I do think the majority of people would benefit from the $5. I think most Dynasty players would benefit from the $5 tiers immensely. And then if you're really a super hardcore person who wants to talk to me every day, higher tiers are there for you. But no pressure on those. I understand those are more expensive. All right, let's
So
next one.
I want to say one quick thing, one quick little stat I looked into is you said obviously his rushing upside is there, and that's why we think like he's going to outperform the ADP. And so I was looking at how many points per game he was generating opposed to compared to some other players just from the rushing. And so obviously he only played 3 full games last year, but even just in those 3 games, he had 31 rushes for 161 yards. That's, 5.3 plus points per game just from rushing. And so I was like, I think of Kyler as probably the biggest, rushing upside, especially last year with Lamar just kind of having a lower touchdown rushing total and stuff like that. And I looked at it and he actually was averaging right around the same, a little bit lower, 5.16 points. So I just thought that was interesting. Small sample size, obviously, but right in line with some of the guys in terms of average points per game, like just from their rushing upside or rushing ability.
Nice. Oh,
but we can move on.
Sure.
Yeah, we can move on.
We know he can run.
Yeah, that's true.
He can run the football. All right, easiest faded ADP. I mean, we all have answers near the top because we know one thing: don't spend high picks on quarterbacks.
Yeah, I mean, some of these questions we didn't talk about, dynasty redraft kind of thing. I will say that, in any one quarterback format, redraft is typically one quarterback, dynasty one quarterback. I never end up with a top quarterback. Never. I just never think they're worth the price. I always think they're priced too high. So yeah, I can't imagine that I would draft any Allen, Herbert, Mahomes, Lamar, Kyler at their ADP. Probably not Burrow either because he doesn't really have the league winning upside. So I probably won't have any of those guys in a redraft.
There's always someone that emerges. Always.
If you only have to start one, I just don't. You can still stream quarterback. Streaming quarterback is not dead at all. No, in a regular quarterback redraft, streaming quarterback is fine.
Kirk Cousins is fine. Like,
yeah. And there's guys there's guys like, remember, Scott Fishbowl scoring is weird, but in regular scoring, someone like Daniel Jones is often startable with his rushing.
We'll get to him later too.
Mitch Trubisky. There are players out there, but yeah, I just generally I'll fade the top quarterbacks. You won't see me spend an early pick on a quarterback. Draft.
I mean, you mentioned my guy. I had Joe Burrow for this one, and I just think he's being drafted higher than Kyler, Dak, Russ, Hurts.
Crazy.
Exactly right. That's crazy to me. And so I was looking. So Josh Allen last year QB1, he averaged like a hair over 24 points per game. How many times do you think Burrow hit that 24?
0.
1.
No, 24 points in a game all of last year.
Oh, okay. No, not 0.
It's like 4.
4.
Good guess. 3 times.
Well,
one time before that week 16-17 explosion when he did it twice in a row. He did it one time the entire season before that. So I'm like, all right, like, it's just he has to keep up his crazy efficiency. He did have some really nice numbers. He was number 1 in a lot of things, just like clean pocket percentage, like under pressure accuracy, deep ball accuracy, all these things. So we're assuming he's going to keep all those up and then maybe even pass more. And he's going to end as what he ended as the QB7 with that last year. So even if he keeps all of that up, his receivers take even another step forward or something. It's like he doesn't have the mobility, that upside that a lot of those other people possess. And then it's just like, I think we're just kind of drafting him at his ceiling almost, where he's going QB 5, 6 or something like that. It's like, give me the 4 guys I listed right after him any day: Kyler, Dak, Russ, Hurts. I'll take any of those guys rounds later.
Yeah. I put Josh Allen. I can just get over that one quick. It's not anything to do with Josh Allen. It's everything to do with his ADP. You're passing up on an RB1 or a wide receiver 1.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So,
all right. Favorite sleeper.
Ooh, this is a good one. We all picked people within the 20s or later, didn't we?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we haven't talked about him a lot with Scott Fishbowl scoring. Actually, we haven't talked about any of these guys with Scott Fishbowl scoring because they're all bad in that scoring. But I mean, I want him with Trubisky because I think he has the weapons. He's been in QB1 before, surprisingly. And I think that, look, Kenny Pickett, at the end of the day, let's think about it differently. In the Scott Fishbowl in a Superflex league, you have to get someone who's going to start the whole year, right? In a regular redraft, regular 1 QB redraft, there's going to be 18 to 20 quarterbacks rostered, I would say. 18 to 20. So you probably don't even need to you're not going to draft Mitch Trubisky. But just keep his name in mind in those early weeks. He's someone who has good weapons. He can run. He has dump off and Najee Harris. So, like, he could be someone in a good matchup, maybe a stream. Keep his name in mind. Don't draft.
No, I totally agree, because it's like, what did he have that, like, 1 year? He had Allen Robinson, who he force-fed a billion targets. And then he did actually make, I think, Tariq Cohen a fairly valuable PPR running back that year. So it's just like, no, like, he has an upgrade in both of those pieces plus more weapons. So I'm hoping, I like the sleeper pick.
Yeah, he had that year like 3,223 passing yards. I mean, he averaged 230 passing yards a game. No receiver even broke 100 targets. So, he did it with not much.
Yeah, and he definitely
that was Allen Robinson's down year.
That it
Makes
was.
sense.
Not his good year. 2018 was Mitch Trubisky's good year.
Okay.
That was Allen Robinson's bad year. So he has much better weapons now than he had then.
Absolutely.
So,
well, Ryan, you got the dog.
Yeah, Zach Wilson. I mean,
yeah,
he's got some offensive linemen back. Mekhi Becton surprisingly didn't get traded during this offseason. I'm stunned at that. They drafted Garrett Wilson. They drafted Breece Hall, who we're going to talk about a good bit later, probably. But I just think year 2, he's going to take a leap a little bit. I looked at the numbers. He was really bad last year. He was last in qualified quarterbacks in EPA and like completion percentage over expected. Like, it was not good. But there's a reason he was drafted 2nd overall, and I gotta believe in the talent. I just hope. Yeah. It's a sleeper pick for a reason.
I don't
believe in offense more than I do.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the Jets and the Jags have at least tried their best, unlike the Bears, to give their last year quarterback like some help, Oh, sorry. Yeah, I don't want to bring that up. Oh, God.
To say that the Bears have not tried their best. To say that the Bears have not tried their best, I will say, for any new viewers, is a massive understatement. They have actively sabotaged their quarterback with incompetent ownership, poor general managing, and poor decisions in the coaching hiring. They did a very poor job everywhere. They signed drag racers. That's what they did. They signed drag racers, Byron Pringle, who may or may not be serving prison time, may or may not serve prison time. They signed the brother of an actual good player from another receiver, Amon-Ra's brother, Equanimeous St. Brown, the brother of a receiver who's actually good. They thought that would actually improve the receiving core. And then they recently traded for N'Keal Harry. They thought that signing a bust who really can't do anything, can't separate, can't get open, can't stay on the field.
He blocks really well.
He blocks really well. He's going to really block really well. Improve David Montgomery's value.
David Montgomery's best friend.
Yeah, I wish I could be that bad at a job and still working. Well, I have the job for you, Patrick. I have the job for you. As the owner of an NFL team, no matter how stupid you are, no matter how much Daniel Snyder you are, it does not matter. You cannot be fired. It does not matter how much you are the Khan family, how stupid you are, the Bears ownership, the McCaskey family. It does not, all of them, does not matter how dumb you are. You get to maintain that job for life. For life. You get to keep it for life. It doesn't matter. So that is the job for you, Patrick. That is the job where you will never be fired. That's the job you should go for. Owner of an NFL team. It's a perfect job. You'll never get fired from that one. We can move on.
All right. Well, so
maybe I should run for office. I think I should run for office. I think I sound really good. I think I would sound really good on the campaign trail with these speeches. Anyway, let's cut through the bullshit. of our country today. But let's move on before I soapbox more.
Yeah, so I had Daniel Jones as my sleeper QB. I just think, we know he has some good weapons on offense in that receiving room. We have Kadarius Toney. A lot of people are, very high on him. We saw the talent last year, although he was injured most of the season. Yeah. And they drafted Robinson. They still have Kenny G. They have all these players. And then they brought over Brian Daboll, who they many kind of attribute Josh Allen's success and improvement to, which we'll see how much that really helps. I just think, again, it comes down to the rushing, where even though he's going to be finish as that QB 18 to 25 or something on the year, he's going to give you a couple weeks where he's putting up the numbers that you'd like and that some QB1s put up, where last year he actually started first 4 weeks. He was the QB6 through the first 4 weeks. And that included 3 games of 21 plus points. He was better than Josh Allen, Lamar. Well,
what about the other weeks?
It's funny. It's funny though. He week 5, he comes in and he gets concussed. And then the rest of the season, he doesn't score more than 18 points in a single game. So, obviously I'm not making excuses, but we know what we feel about excuses. We've seen him able to pop off a big game because he rushes and catches a touchdown. He has that rushing upside. So I'm not saying draft him even as your QB2 or whatever, but it's, again, like we're talking about, guy on the waivers that, you break glass in case of emergency. He might actually be able to give you a solid week.
Well, how about this? In Daniel Jones's last 25 games, he has managed to throw 21 touchdowns. How does that sound? Let's just play a fun game. Does that sound good or bad? Does it sound good that he can't even manage one measly passing touchdown per game? Can't even manage one measly passing touchdown per game. And in that period of time, he's managed to somehow throw 17 interceptions and average a putrid 6.6 yards per attempt. Putrid.
We just saw the number 1 overall pick put up, essentially.
Oh, I hear you. But that was in the rookie year. Now this is year 2 and year 3. We should be better in year 2 and year 3. I don't want to hear an excuse about year 2 and year 3. You should be better by that point. 6.6 yards per attempt. That's Drew Lock. That's Drew Lock level. That's what that is. And 21 touchdowns over 25 games, less than a touchdown per game, is abysmal. I don't care what the surrounding weapons are. You can't be that bad in your second and third year. I don't want to hear about an excuse. So, and he also constantly gets sacked. It's constantly getting sacked.
Big fumble guy for sure too.
Well, why do you think he gets sacked so often? Because he doesn't evade the rush. I mean, he's mobile, but he seems to have a problem with awareness of evading the rush.
The line was also less than spectacular.
Yeah, but he ran into some of those sacks. Like, I'm a Giants fan.
He ran into.
Had no awareness of where anyone was coming from. He didn't yes, the offensive line didn't block, but he's responsible for setting the protection of the offensive line. He should be responsible for that, and he didn't do a very good job. So I think that Brian Daboll is a very, very good head coach. As a Giants fan, he was my first choice for head coach. He's who I wanted them to hire as the head coach. They hired the general manager, Joe Schoen from the Bills, an excellent choice for general managers. Great things that they're doing just for the next quarterback. They're setting up. It's a little bit like the Lions with Dan Campbell. That's even more of a process. But Dan Campbell, I think, is a great coach. I do. I like him. They're setting up for the next quarterback. I think here is even more clear. Daniel Jones' contract is up at the end of the year. It's not going to be good. It's going to be a disaster. They have to get rid of. They can get rid of Galladay after this year. They can clean out all of these bad contracts. Then they will draft or acquire a quarterback next year, and they will have a good future. But I don't. I mean, I have Daniel Jones in the 20s. I just don't. I do have a big difference on him in 4 and 6 point passing touchdowns, because we saw the numbers I read about how few passing touchdowns he throws. In 4 point passing touchdowns, I have him at 21. In 6 point, I have him all the way down to 25. The biggest difference I have on any player in the two formats, because he just does not throw passing touchdowns. And I don't think he's going to. So,
yeah, I'm not going to argue that.
Opinion.
I just think we see him be able to put up some spike weeks. He has the rushing upside. He's got a great coach now. And the team did look to make the O-line. Obviously, we talked about how bad it was and stuff. It's like they've definitely made some improvements there. So I just think
it's literally impossible not to be improved. It can't not be improved. It was so bad.
The Steelers is like pretty close.
It was one of the worst offensive lines in the league last year. I mean, it couldn't block at all. It didn't block in the passing game, and it didn't block in the running game. So it wasn't good. But you know, I do think he's a good example of how you got to be aware of your scoring format. That's always an edge. No matter what you're playing, Dynasty, Redraft, whatever, be aware of the scoring format. If he's much more valuable in a 4 points for passing touchdown than he is in a 6. So, you know, honestly, he has a similar career path to Trubisky. Trubisky was probably better than Jones ever was, but Jones did show up pretty well as a rookie, which Trubisky did not. So that is kind of impressive on one level. So overall, I would say their career paths are similar. They're probably like, again, they fall into that 25 to 32 range. Like they're probably one of the best starting quarterbacks, one of the best 32, but probably not someone you can win with and not someone you want to hand your franchise to. So everyone's always going to be looking to replace them. That's probably where they fall.
Can't believe how hard of coaching they had. Joe Judge and Matt Nagy.
Joe Judge is worse. Although he did attend the quarterback meeting. We have to remember that Matt Nagy didn't attend the quarterback meeting. That's the thing he paid the highest price for.
Gave him high school homework and told him to go home.
Yeah. So Matt Nagy didn't attend the meetings, but that we'll never let him forget that. I think he shouldn't get any more jobs, but apparently he already did. All right. Which quarterback is going to be on the most playoff or championship rosters? I'm surprised at both of your answers because I don't think they'll be on any. Well, not many. My answer, I think, is the one that makes sense.
I mean, I looked at both of yours and I was like, all right, I have to do something different. But immediately my first one was, I'll go back to the one that's going to outperform, which you picked. And then I was like, no, it's going to be Ryan's guy. But so I'll let you guys go first because I think those are more common.
It's Trey Lance, and it's obviously Trey Lance. I mean, if Trey Lance hits and you got him in the 11th in a redraft league, then he's going to be on the championship rosters, like our best ball or whatever. Like it's obvious. It's going to be Trey Lance. I mean, the other ones, there's really no other quarterback that I find to be a value at all. At all. So I don't think any other quarterback's going to be a high percentage of fantasy rosters unless there's someone who breaks fantasy. And it's not going to be either of the two guys you picked because they don't run. So the other candidates for this are, Lamar, Kyler,
that's
or Josh
obvious,
Allen.
Though.
Sure. I didn't say it wasn't. Like Lamar, I guess Lamar wasn't that obvious in 2019 when he broke fantasy. But if you had, let's say I told you were getting 2019 Lamar, where would you pick him? What would you spend? You knew that you were just going to get those stats. Where would you pick that player?
Oh my gosh.
Second round, like
second round.
Yeah. So like he was very valuable. And even if you knew it was coming. So, if you get that season from Lamar in the 6th, that could still be a league winner. I'm not saying I'm going to pick him there. I'm just saying that the league winners are going to be one of the quarterbacks who can break fantasy. And we know who those are. Mm-hmm. It's the ones who add the running. I mean, Jalen Hurts could do it too. If he actually hits on everything. I mean, it's in his range of outcomes. I think it's a little less likely because he's not as good of a passer as Kyler and not as good of a runner as Lamar. But it's in his range of outcomes.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely agree. It feels like the guy that you're going to get later on. I'm not going to argue against the guy that we all kind of agree that is going to be the best ADP value.
Yeah. I agree. With myself. I better agree with myself. Right?
Hey, but we wanted to go a little different. I went Tom Brady because he's Tom Brady. He's always going to outperform his ADP. I mean, once Chris Godwin gets back, he's Russell Gage now. Obviously, the tight end position isn't going to be replaced like the rumors say. Those are false. But he was quarterback 3 last year. I could see something similar to that. And if he's quarterback 3, I mean, he'll be on a lot of playoff rosters.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's like I was thinking of who has that later push. And it's like Brady, especially. That was the first name that popped into my head. It's like at the end of the year, he's going to have Godwin hopefully back to full health. they're going to have, Antonio Brown back or like Julio or someone, I'm sure, just like someone coming in, just being really good for them or something. And
Julio
obviously you got, it would, wouldn't it? It's just like every year they're bringing someone in and they somehow do pretty well. And it's like, okay, like whatever. But so, I mean, I just expect him by the end of the year. And then it's like, if you're in the playoffs and you have him as your QB, I think he's just going to be humming and he's going to be on that championship squad for a lot of people. But all that being said, I kind of took like a different approach almost so my name was Kirk Cousins. And I say that because I was kind of like, all right, a lot of places are going super flex now where it's almost become like a standard, really the default format to play is like super flex a lot of the time. And so last year, ironically enough, I had Kirk Cousins and Trey Lance. Those were my potential QB2s because I had Justin Herbert as my QB1 in one of my leagues. And it's funny because we've been talking about how much we love Trey Lance, but obviously who I started all year long at my QB2 spot. And so it was funny. So I just think that Kirk Cousins is like about as solid as they get when they come to a QB2. And I was like, let's see how actually, like, I was looking at the numbers. Like, did you know he didn't have a single game in single digits? Like, not a single one. Josh Allen even had a game with under 10 points. Like,
that was that Jaguars game, wasn't it?
Yep, it was the Jaguars game, and he was close. He was like 9.5, but that's crazy to me. Like, that's your QB2. He's never going to disappoint. And yet he still has the ability to like spike for a few weeks. He had games of 25 plus, 28. He's not going to get that 35 like Josh Allen. I get it, but that's why you're not drafting him to be your QB1. He is just so reliable and consistent in that QB2 spot where I think you can take the higher upside shots in other positions in that QB1 spot, stuff like that. So I just think, I had him as my QB2 in 3 different leagues. I made the playoffs and made it far in all 3 leagues where he was my QB2 / super flex. And it was because he was just reliable. I was never worried that he was going to tank me. Even if he gets, 12 points, it's like, all right, whatever. It's like, he's never going to just completely destroy my week. And I think in a lot of QB2 spots, you're kind of taking some of those risks unless you went with the 2 studs. So, yeah.
Yeah, I see it. To be as high on it as I am on Justin Jefferson, like,
yeah,
Kirk Cousins has to be good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then he tanks all of our seasons.
I'm not that. I have Kirk Cousins at 15 and 6 point and 17 and 4 points. I don't know that high, I suppose.
Yeah, he's finished as a top 10 quarterback.
Oh, I hear you.
Numerous times already. So
I hear you, but I will bet against him because I think that you want to take someone who has a higher range of like ceiling, and I don't really want. If I take in a 1 QB league, and that's what these redraft rankings are based on. If I take someone at quarterback, take a quarterback and their ceiling is quarterback 9, that won't work for me. I don't want that. That's not what I want. And honestly, like, I haven't really gotten a chance to look at week 1 yet. I haven't done that. And I think I will do that because next week we are having our first redraft mock. Actually, I want to do an early redraft mock. Get us really thinking about a standard redraft. We'll do 1 QB PPR. I'd say that's the most common format at this stage. We'll do a 1 QB redraft PPR. And we'll start thinking about it because one of the considerations for quarterback in a redraft is week 1. I'm not looking at like we stream. So you get to week 2 when you get to week 2. We start with week 1. Week 1 comes first. So that's what we get to. So, I got to take a look at the week 1 matchups because I really haven't, honestly. I have not done a lot of prep for like regular redraft. Because Scott Fishbowl, obviously, you don't look at that because you have to have the super flex. You can't worry about just 1 week. You need to build your quarterbacks for the whole year. But for, like I said, for that 1 QB format, week 1 is a lot of what I would consider. I'm not going to change like my rankings because those rankings are done for like people use for Dynasty. But yeah. All right. I would say we don't know on this Bulls question, but I'll lean yes. but I don't know the answer, and
It's-
no one's gonna be able to tell.
No one's gonna know the answer, but I feel like Brady's gonna get what he wants. I know
Yeah.
passed a lot in New York, but that's because he didn't have a quarterback.
Yeah, I agree.
Tom Brady's Tom
Yeah.
Brady.
It's like Brady's not coming back, getting Arians out of the position
He
to
forced
throw
him out.
23 times a game.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
He forced him
It's
out.
just there's just no way. Maybe it comes down to 38 or 40. Like, okay, but he's still fine, and he's still gonna throw like near 600 times. I bet. Like, it's just the way it is.
If it's truly his last season, he's gonna go out with some fireworks. Like, honestly, he's gonna make sure.
Never know.
There's an article on DLF from me about this. There's actually multiple. It just came out. I mean, it's not about this, but I'll put the link in the chat. I just put it in there. I wrote a whole article. It's about Amon-Ra and Jameson Williams. So I'll just table my answer to this and just read it. I talked about the splits with DeAndre Swift and Hawkinson, mostly with Hawkinson. But I would, I'd read the article. I talk about it in more detail than I could ever get to on a show. I don't have the splits tables in front of me. I mean, I guess I could read them from the article, but it's a DLF, and I think that people should subscribe to DLF so they can read these articles and other people's articles. So I don't want to, just give away everything in the article.
17 plus seems rich, though. I will say that.
In redraft, I have him at wide receiver 28. So if I have him at wide receiver 28, I'm definitely not. That's like around
12-ish.
No, it's a little more than 12. I would
14
say
maybe.
Yeah, 13 or so.
13, 14.
Yeah.
I could.
The wide receivers deep. Wide receivers score more than they used to.
Yeah.
So like 13, 14 is not even a wide receiver 2 these days.
Yeah.
I mean, 17 could have been his potential outcomes if they didn't, add Shark and add Williams and
but Williams is not going to. I mean, who knows when Williams is going to be ready? It's on the pup list.
Yeah, but Swift's coming back, so
yeah.
He's gonna
And
get in there.
Hawkinson, obviously.
It's too crowded. If it wasn't
Shark
crowded,
is not nothing.
I'd be in.
But
Yeah, no.
I do think Amon-Ra will still lead though, like he did last year. A 4th round rookie leading the team in all receiving categories is nothing to sneeze at. Don't just dismiss him.
Mm-hmm.
That's very unusual. So
He'll still lead in receptions when Jameson comes back.
Yeah, I think Jameson has a lot more upside though. But Jameson didn't lead in receptions at Alabama. He led in yards, but not receptions. Mechie had more receptions, fewer yards, fewer touchdowns, which is kind of exactly what I would expect when both are healthy. Amon-Ra to have more receptions, but Jameson Williams to have more yards and probably more touchdowns on the big breakaway plays.
Yeah. All right. Unfortunately, I gotta head out to work.
Soon you will be able to do 3-hour shows though.
I was saying it earlier. I got a couple more weeks where I have work at 4:00 Eastern my time over here, so it's a little tough. But after that, during football season and weeks before it, I will be good to go for as long as we want.
And
I look forward to it.
It'll be 2.5 to 3 hours. So
that's totally fine. I look forward to that.
I love it.
Have a great rest of the show. Thank you if you're watching here, and see you guys next week.
See you.
Peace.
All right. Etienne or Fournette and Sanders?
Etienne.
Yeah, I agree.
Those two might not have value next year.
Yep.
Brady might dip to Miami, and Miles Sanders might lose his job.
Yeah.
So.
All right. I think we bit off more than we could chew.
I think we did.
Yeah, we spend so much time on the news is sometimes like 15. That first segment is sometimes 15 or 20 minutes, and it's sometimes an hour.
Then we went over the Scott Fishbowl teams.
Yeah, we also went over the Scott Fishbowl teams. Yeah. No, next week we have redraft mock, and I will probably like force ourselves into that earlier.
Yeah.
All right. You want to just pick out a few of your favorites from the rest of these?
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah.
I think
we're not going to do them all.
We just start with most likely to succeed because we agree on that. I agreed, but I just put a different answer just because.
Yeah, most likely to succeed at running back against their ADP. We both said Breece Hall, and I think I have him at 11. Where do you have him?
I have him at 11 as well.
Yeah,
I want to move him up so bad.
So do I. But in ADP, he's just still hanging on at like 18
It's because he's on the Jets.
I know, but
I'm gonna do something about that in the coming days because that's overblown. I know I just said Zach Wilson was awful last year, but Breece Hall was a superior prospect. That gets lost.
Yeah.
Top of the second, he's gonna get volume. I forget what it was. I picked it from an article. The first running back picked in the last 5 years, his lowest amount of touches was like 230, 240, and that was CEH. And everyone else was like close to 300s, I believe. So he's going to get a lot of work.
I agree. All right. Anything else? Where do you want to go next?
Anything else for running back you want to?
I feel bad. I made Conan do so much work for the show, and then we never got to any of it.
Do you want to do the running back take you're confident that will succeed?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, we'll read Conan's too.
Yeah, of course.
All right.
Me and Conan's are similar in a way.
Yeah. Well, we can start with mine. I said the Buffalo backfield won't produce anyone we can use in 2022. So that's why I don't like your pick of Devin Singletary. I really don't think they're going to produce anyone usable. I don't think so. I think that if Cook and Singletary remain healthy, it's going to be like it was for most of the last 3 years, which is that you can't start anybody. Nobody's going to be an RB2. They're all going to be outside of RB2 range. So that's my take.
Mm-hmm. I went super bold with it. I said that Breece Hall will be a first round pick in 2023.
That's not bold.
It's not.
I expect that. That's not bold.
I mean, if he finishes 11 like we think, Derek Henry's a year older, Zeke's a year older.
Yeah, then he'll be a first-round pick next year. If he finishes 11, he'll be a first-round pick next year.
Then it's not that bold.
Yeah, it's not that bold. But I think it's accurate.
Yeah, I want something I believe in.
Yeah, so I mean, my take was not bold. I mean, my take 18, is with the rankings.
18 is ridiculous for Breece Hall.
I know.
That I feel like we could answer this one already. It's still Breece Hall.
Yeah, it's not Ezekiel Elliott. Ezekiel Elliott's washed up. You don't draft him. Draft someone else. Draft someone who's still good.
Draft like ETN in that range.
Yeah, anyone else.
But Conan's was ETN will be a borderline first round pick in 2023 fantasy.
I think that take has gone in the dumpster fire. Now that if Robinson plays, there's just no way.
See, I had ETN for a lot of things too. I did these last night, and obviously I had the doctors and I slept the rest of the morning. But
I just don't see ETN having that kind of upside anymore, unless Robinson is just nothing. But I don't think so.
It's hard after you do that for 2 straight seasons. It's hard to be nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Since you put him for multiple categories, do you want to do the fade or the dynasty trade away? We could
just I don't know. Tell me, you pick.
Let's do the fade.
Fade? Well, it's Aaron Jones.
I mean, it was the same player for you anyway. So
yeah, it's Aaron Jones. Please don't draft Aaron Jones. You're drafting someone whose floor is Naeem Hines. If AJ Dillon just takes over, don't draft Aaron Jones. I have Aaron Jones at running back 16. So just draft someone else. Draft someone who has more guaranteed volume.
I think that's his ADP right now or close to it, like overall.
Can't be. 16 overall. Yeah, I have him running back 16.
That's what I said. I think his ADP is close
so
to 16
I feel very differently. I feel differently. Yeah, from the ADP.
I mean, mine's James Conner. Obviously, he's running back 15. It's going to be impossible, near impossible to repeat that 19 touchdowns. Like,
yeah, I have him at 18. So
he's up there in the 3rd round as well. I'm pretty sure. So
yeah, he's been rising a little bit for me, mostly because other guys have gone down a little. But yeah, he's sitting at 18, so I won't have any of him at 18.
That's understandable.
And
do you want to talk about handcuffs or no?
Not really.
All right, let's do most likely to succeed. I said it wrong already. For wide receiver, you can start.
I said AJ Brown. I have AJ Brown at 7. ADP has him at 11, but I hear like prominent analysts saying that they wouldn't even have him as a wide receiver 1. Fantasy footballers who I'm mentioning specifically, but there are others who have also said the same. So I just disagree. I think that AJ Brown is going to be, if you look at his first 3 years of his career, they look very similar to Julio Jones' first 3. Elite player. The player's elite. The player's elite. He is elite every time he's on the field, but has had some injuries, has had a little bit of inconsistency. and has not always been put in the best situation. But when he's played and has been healthy, has been elite. And you know he's elite. Elite players eventually succeed over the whole season. Eventually it happens. You get the year where they have 12 touchdowns. It does happen. It happened for Julio 2 or 3 times. I think this is it. And I don't think Devonta Smith or Dallas Goedert are those are good players. They're good. You can have players like that. You have players like that on every team. You do. You have players of that quality on every NFL team. You do. You don't have AJ Brown on every NFL team, though. Not every team has an alpha. There aren't many of them. And he is one of them. So he will succeed. And I have him at 7 for those reasons.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely get on board with that. I think I have him at 8. So I'm right there with you. I mean, you don't pay a guy $100 million
I paid him $100 million. I didn't even remember that. I didn't even need to get to that.
To hyper target him. You're that's what's going to happen. He's going to get fed.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm all in on AJ Brown as well. So technically I put DK Metcalf on the show sheet, but technically for doing by ADP, because I was looking at best ball ADP, like, because that's what I do, I guess. I'm going to go with Hollywood Brown because I have him at 14.
Brown.
His ADP right now is wide receiver 21.
Okay, yeah, I'm still in on that.
I'm in as well. I mean, he's gonna absolutely crush the first 6 weeks of the season with no D Hop, and who knows what D Hop's gonna be when he comes back. They had the college connection. We know that worked. I'm not really buying into that. I'm just buying into Hollywood Brown being a good receiver. He was wide receiver 1 with Lamar for the first how many weeks? I forget.
6 or so.
Yeah, 6 or something. He would have been up there if it wasn't the drops against the Lions. But yeah, I was looking at best ball, and DK was like 26 on best ball, wide receiver 26. I was like, yeah, I'll write that down really easy, but I was mistaken.
2 questions in one. Michael Thomas or Chris Olave as wide receiver 1 for the Saints? I mean, it's Michael Thomas if he plays. But
yeah, but I don't
promises
know.
on that one. And is Lazard wide receiver 1 for Aaron Rodgers? I mean, yes, but that doesn't mean I want to draft him. I have Lazard at 46.
Yeah, I'm down there as well.
It's the dumbest argument I always hear. It's the dumbest argument. It's you can tell. It's a great way to tell between people who actually analyze football, who actually know what they're talking about, and people who just say things. People who just don't think about it. They don't do the research. They don't know. If you think that just because there's a target vacuum on the Packers, that a bad player like Alan Lazard, he's bad. He is a bad, what does bad mean? He is an average wide receiver 3 for an NFL team. That's what he is. That's what he has been for 3 years. No season with more than 60 targets, none with more than 40 receptions. 3.3 receptions and 45 yards a game are his best. And that wasn't even last year. That was 2 years ago. He regressed last year. If you have a 42 game sample size from that play, not 10 games, not 20 games, 42. That's 2.5 years of games. That player is bad. So if you think that player after 42 games is going to magically, just because another player was traded, become this excellent player, it does not work that way. It has never worked that way. That is not how targets and receiving production works. Now, is Alan Lazard going to be better than he was last year? Yes, probably, because he's okay, but he's just okay. I've even reduced my projection for him. I originally was giving him 102 targets, 6 a game, and that's even too high. I don't think he's even going to do that. I think it's going to be even less than that. So again, just not a player that I believe in. He's been bad. Didn't become
really
good just because Devontae Adams was traded. He just didn't.
I really wish
not how it works.
They need to go out and get a wide receiver. I wish it was Jarvis Landry.
Absolutely,
because that would have been fantastic.
It's Will Fuller they need. It's Will Fuller they need.
Will Fuller's been out there forever now.
Yeah, but Will Fuller's that stretching option that they don't have. They don't have that. Alan Lazard is not that. Alan Lazard is slow, boring, and does nothing at all.
If Will Fuller signs and is healthy,
well, he'd be the one. I mean, I don't care.
He'd be the one. I don't know how high I'd put him.
No, I don't think I would put him that high, but he would be the one. I would
He'd be
rank
in
him
the
as the
30s
one.
at least.
I'm not even sure I'd get him in the 30s because he's
I get him in
risky.
the 30s.
I mean, I'm looking at who I have. I have Devonta Smith at 37. No, I'd still rather have Smith. Renfro at 38. Lockett at 39. Burks at 40. Gage at 41. That's about right. He'd be higher than Lazard is now at 46. But yeah, I'd probably put him in at like probably right behind. Depends if Lockett doesn't get the quarterback upgrade. I'd put him right at 39 in redraft. Will Fuller 39. Just for the upside.
Even want to play like.
Okay, but we know Will Fuller has the upside. Allen Lazard has never done anything. Nothing. Where Will Fuller has had a season where he was 10, 11 games of being a wide receiver 1. So that's very different track record. So I would put him a little higher just for that. And then I'd move Allen Lazard probably to around 55 or so. I could see Aaron Jones. No, it'll be Lazard. He could lead with 85 targets and, 55 to 60 receptions.
I really want to see how Aaron Rodgers.
And then if he goes on, if he has 60 receptions on his career, whatever yards. I mean, if he has 80, let's say he has 85 targets and has his career yards per target, that's 773 yards. So he'd have like 60 receptions for 773 yards. Is that like, that's nothing exciting. No.
I get the argument for it there.
No, I get the argument. It's just not a very intelligent argument.
You're paying Aaron Rodgers $50 million a year to hand the ball off.
It's an argument that makes common sense, but not actual football, fantasy, track record sense. It makes common sense. I get it why someone would say it, but the data does not back up that track record of a history. It does not work that way. Mm-hmm. The data doesn't back up bad players becoming good because of a target vacancy. That does not happen. So that's the issue, the data doesn't back up that conclusion. But I can understand why people would think that. They're just wrong based on the history. Now, they could be right in this case. There are always exceptions. But the track record would cause me to bet against that. And just for the record, the ADP and the expert consensus rankings are with me. They have him around 45. My ranking is not different from anyone else's. I think that, I don't know, there must be a Lazard Truther Hive on Twitter or something.
I guess.
What's next?
I do want to add real quick that the next disgruntled wide receiver that comes about, whether it's Debo or someone else, the Packers should immediately get on the phone.
I agree with you, but I don't think they will because
I don't think they will.
They don't know how to do that. How to do that.
It's unfortunate. But we'll do the fades real quick. You put Adam Thielen down, which
I did. I saw him at 28, and that's crazy. That's crazy. I mean, he's washed up. So I don't know why I would draft him at 28. I think that's his ceiling. He's washed up. I mean, last year we had lower yards. Last year he had 10 touchdowns on 67 receptions. You think that's going to happen again? 10 touchdowns on 726 yards. You think that's going to happen again? Is he that good? Is he that good at catching touchdowns? Is he special? Let's go back to 2018. Let's go back to 2018 when he was in his prime, right? 2018 in his prime. Now, in 2018, they already had Kirk Cousins at that point, didn't they? Yeah, they had Kirk Cousins, the same quarterback who's in his prime. He had 153 targets, caught 113 of them, 9 touchdowns. Last year, he had 67 receptions, 10 touchdowns. He had 1,373 yards in 2018, 726 last year, but had more touchdowns. What's the reality? The people know what the reality is, but they're still drafting him at wide receiver 28 and making a huge mistake. In contrast, I have him at 42, which is why I think he belongs. He's still going to be 32 before the season starts. I think he's done. He last year, a career low in yards per target. He had lower yards per game. A low yard total. He's the last 4 years, he's had a ridiculous touchdown efficiency, or not the last 4, the last 3. In 2019, he had 6 touchdowns on 30 receptions. He's either turned into a different player in the last 3 years when he's been not as good. Somehow he's become better at catching touchdowns, or the reality is that he's been lucky. And eventually your luck runs out. Because he had the peripherals, the receiving yards, everything else says he's not as good. So he's been lucky. You can get lucky 3 years in a row. A coin can come up heads 3 times in a row. That doesn't mean I want to bet on it coming up heads the 4th time. At 2-1 odds.
I get it, but we said it last year too. I just
know but see, it's the same argument. It doesn't matter what we said last year. Just because it came up on that side 3 years in a row, and he came up on the positive side of touchdown regression when he has been in decline for 3 years, doesn't mean that I want him. He's been in decline. Like, not arguably been in decline.
I could see Justin Jefferson stealing some of his touchdowns.
Absolutely. You think it's going to
10?
Who do you think's better at catching touchdowns in this stage of their career? Who's better at it? You have Justin Jefferson as your wide receiver 1.
Yeah.
Who's better at it?
It's got to be Justin Jefferson.
Justin Jefferson. Yet Adam Thielen had equal touchdowns to him last year on almost half of the targets. Is that going to repeat itself? There's no way.
Oh, I see the target share repeating itself, but not the touchdowns.
I don't see the target share repeating itself at all.
Where do you see the targets going?
Well, I mean, Irv Smith is back to play. KJ Osborne is not bad. I just see that, Justin Jefferson.
I'm just trying to make the point that Jefferson's not going to get much more than 167 targets.
You sure about that? 167 is not that many in 17 games. That's not even 10 a game. That's like, yes, that's a lot, but there are players who had more. And, it's not crazy. I mean, Devontae Adams had 169 in 16 games, so it was a little bit more, for example. And Justin Jefferson is still improving. He
is. Scary.
I answered this. I said Derrick Henry. I answered this earlier. It was a quick answer, but I said Derrick Henry. Is Mark Andrews, Travis Kelce more likely to be tight end 1? Are they worth a top 20 to 25 pick? I have Andrews at 1. That's against the consensus. So
I think they're both worth it.
Top 20 to 25, yes. But I would only pick Andrews where they're going. Kelce's going at like 14, which is too steep for me. And Andrews is actually, I can tell you where I rank him. I rank overall that high. Actually, no. I have him around there. I have Andrews at 14 and Kelce at 15. So my answer to your question is yes. Yes, they are. 2023 first, projected 4th rate for Waddle. Waddle.
Yeah. I mean, you sound fairly confident that the team's not going to be in the bottom.
Yeah, it's still Waddle, though.
Yeah.
All right, where were we?
We were just picking around. We did the wide receiver fades. I don't know if you want to tackle any dynasty questions for wide receiver.
Sure. Pick your favorite.
I mean, it's got to be the dynasty acquisition because I get to talk about the Jets more.
Sure. Do it.
I mean, I'll lead off. I picked Elijah Moore. I mean, he's still too low in these rankings. I know he missed so much time. I know he wasn't good with Zach Wilson last year, but I guess I'm all in on Zach Wilson at this point, considering I'm all in on Breece Hall and all in on Elijah Moore. But from a dynasty standpoint, he was wide receiver 3 in the games that he played last year, not counting the first 2 weeks.
Something like that, yeah.
I think it was 3 in PPR formats, but infinitely talented. They brought in Garrett Wilson. He's going to take some attention away. I know he was picked higher, but I'm not concerned. I'm all in on Elijah Moore.
Did I also say Elijah Moore, or did I?
No, you said Chris Godwin.
Oh, Chris Godwin, yes, of course.
That's another good one.
I do like him. I like him a lot, and I think he's being undervalued for the injury. Conan's at DK Metcalf, which I also agree with.
I agree with that one as well because I put him as my the most likely to outperform ADP. So
yeah, his ADP is not that high though.
Exactly, that's why.
Or it's not that low. I have him at 17. I don't have him that high in redraft.
No, remember I said I looked at the best ball one, and the best ball one was ridiculously low.
Okay,
so I changed it to Hollywood. So
all right, anything else you want to address?
I guess we have to acknowledge tight ends a little bit, right?
We good with wide receiver?
Yeah, we're good with wide receiver. There's only two that we didn't touch. So
Yeah, the Dynasty trade away, it's funny. It's like 3 of my favorite tradeaways. Tyreek Hill for me, Cortland Sutton for you, and Allen Robinson for Conan. Those are probably my 3 top Dynasty tradeaways at wide receivers. So we
nailed that one.
Let's talk about tight end.
All right. Let's do most likely to succeed.
So my tight end rankings basically mirror the ADP in order almost exactly. So there wasn't much for me to do, but I just said Mark Andrews because I thought he was like at 23. That seemed too low. I have him 14 in my overall rankings. So I think he can still be a value at the late second. So I said Mark Andrews just because there really wasn't another name for me.
It was tough looking through tight end. I went with Kyle Pitts. I think there's a world where he absolutely shatters
I hear you.
expectations for year 2 tight ends.
I just
Even
think
with
that,
Mariota, because we know the whole Delaney Walker thing, we don't have to get into that. But
yeah.
Kyle Pitts is beyond special. I put him for my Dynasty acquisition as well, even though I said it'll probably cost you like 5 first-round picks because it will. He's just that special. I don't think people have fully caught on yet to how good he's going to be. They're almost there.
If I'm in a redraft league, do I want to spend a 3rd-round pick on Kyle Pitts? Or do I want to spend an 8th-round pick on Dallas Goedert? Think about that. Probably would rather spend an 8th-round pick on Dallas Goedert.
I'm still spending the 3rd. I know.
I'd rather just have – you have to start multiple receivers and running backs. You don't have to start one tight end. I just don't think Kyle Pitts is going to be a league winner this year. I think he's been good. I think he's been better than he was last year. I think he's going to be, maybe top 5, but I don't know if he's going to be a league winner. I think that Andrews and Kelsey are going to be the top tier once again this year, and no one else is really going to break into that difference-making threshold. So I actually dislike Kyle Pitts redraft ADP. Dynasty, I'm all in though, because
the offense is just so bad this year. If he was on like a top 16, 15 offense, he'd be insanely valued right now.
Sure, but if Kyle Pitts finishes at tight end 3 this year,
you're not making,
and you drafted him at 35th overall. In Dynasty, you'd be ecstatic, but in redraft, you'd probably be just okay, and if not disappointed.
I mean, tight end's thin again this year.
No, it isn't.
It is. I think it is still.
I don't agree.
There's some good contributors, but I just think Kyle Pitts could be beyond solid.
Yeah.
I'm concerned about the guys behind him. I'm concerned about Waller. I'm concerned about Kittle.
I noticed Kittle falls farther though, so I'd probably rather take Kittle.
That's only 8 spots behind. I mean,
yeah, but I don't really. This ADP is not a representative of what I've been seeing.
That's why
Pitts goes earlier and Kittle goes later.
Yeah, I just don't like what I'm seeing at tight end. I'm probably going to be one of those people that tries to grab an early one in every league that I'm in.
No, it doesn't. No. Devontae Adams or Darren Waller's value goes way down.
Well,
you want to talk about narratives that are silly. This narrative, I hear this all the time. It does not exist, except for apparently Juju. But other than Juju, this narrative does not exist. When a target monster like Devontae Adams comes in and sucks up a 30% target share and he's elite, he's the elite of the elite, it hurts everyone else because no one else is elite on his level. So when elite comes in, good to excellent, whatever you want to call Darren Waller, and pretty good, Hunter Renfrow are severely hurt when elite eats first. So elite comes in and eats first and hurts everyone. It's like a pecking order, like you don't really move on the pecking order, but the thing that can really hurt you is if someone comes in above you. Someone leaving above you doesn't mean that you move up, but someone coming in above you moves you down. It works in that way, even if it does not work in the opposite way. As weird as that is, it's actually true. You can be good and earn targets, but if someone elite comes in above you, then it does hurt you significantly. But there are very few players. This isn't everybody. There are very few players that are good enough to make that kind of difference. But Devontae Adams is one of them. Devontae Adams is probably the player who makes the biggest difference of anyone you could have added outside of maybe Justin Jefferson now going into year 3. So since he is the elite player, he really takes a nuclear weapon to the players in that offense, receiving wise. He's going to get 30%. You can't have you can't have two players with 30%. I mean, that's not going to happen. So if he gets 30%, that means everyone else is getting less because he's elite.
That is true.
And elite players eat first.
I just wanted to double back on Kyle Pitts real quick. I just see the touchdowns getting better. They have to, right? He didn't even catch one in America.
Also, this is not true. Hunter Renfrow was way better in the games Darren Waller missed than in the games Darren Waller played. Unless I'm wrong about that. Hunter Renfrow broke out when Darren Waller was missing time and ineffective, not when Darren Waller was balling. So, incorrect on that one, unless I'm mistaken. All right, what's next?
Anything else? Do you want to do Dynasty trade away and then or the
Dynasty
fade?
trade away? Sure. Dynasty trade away. Darren Waller.
There you go.
Yeah,
that was perfect. That's a perfect segue.
Yeah, perfect segue. Darren Waller. While you still can.
I really debated about mine. That's why I wanted to bring it up. I put Dalton Schultz, but I don't know. Is Dalton Schultz's 2023 going to be worth more than what you get in a trade?
I'd say yes. His ADP is starting to rise.
It is. I just don't know if he's going to get that contract in Dallas.
Dallas usually takes care of their guys, though.
I know it's just
surprised
tough.
They didn't get the extension done.
So am I. That's why I put him on there.
They waited with Amari Cooper until the year he was gonna Thank you, Jacob. I'm glad when I make sense. I try not to be just a ranty host. I really try to actually, I do research behind the scenes, even if I don't quote a lot of numbers on the show. That's why I brought in Conan, because he's a lot better at that, integrating numbers while we're doing the show. My takes are based on research, but I don't pull too. I do something. Most of the stats I'm pulling up during the show, I'm looking up during the show. I don't have them in my back pocket. But yeah, Darren Waller, is the one I would sell. And then you were on Dalton Schultz, which I would say his value is pretty high.
It is.
Can you get it though? Can you get it? Can you actually get it in a trade?
Probably
his ADP
not.
says his ADP is right now 80 overall. His ADP says you could trade Dalton Schultz straight across for let's see. Yeah, it says you could trade him straight across for James Cook. You think you can do that? I don't think so.
No.
I don't think.
See, that's why I put a big question mark, because
it says you can trade him straight across for Christian Kirk or Jahan Dotson.
Maybe he get done Christian Kirk.
Maybe.
I don't think Jahan Dotson. See, but he's gonna put up a top probably. We have him at 6. At least I do. I have him at 6.
I have him at 7.
So he's going to put up that top season at tight end behind the big 5 at this point.
Yeah, but what the difference between tight end 6 and tight end 20 was not much.
See, that's another truth.
Is 6 all that great? If he really finishes at 6, was he worth all that much?
He finished at 3 last year, so
but who knows if he's going to do that again this year?
The numbers are more in his favor with Amari Cooper gone and Michael Gallup hurt, but
Amari Cooper was terrible last year.
I know, but there's still targets to be had.
No, I know. I don't expect 8 touchdowns was asking a lot on 78 receptions. That's not a guarantee to repeat itself. So
it'll be interesting to see what they do with their young wide receivers and James Washington as well. Because I think Dalton Schultz is going to become the number 2 in the passing game until Gallup gets back. Then he's going to take that role.
We'll see what happens.
We will. But I think we got to mostly everything.
Yeah, I think we're good. All right. So, once again, thanks to everyone for tuning into the show. Now, if you want to support the show, make sure to like the video, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell. And also, on top of all of that, if you want to give me extra support, I suggest signing up for Patreon, which I'm putting in the links again here. There's the link. I'll put it in the comments as well after the show drops. Jesse says, good show. Thanks as always. We appreciate you. And is it going to shock you if Gerald Everett ends as a top 12 tight end? Wouldn't shock me.
Nah.
It's not that hard to be a top 12 tight end.
If he finished top 7, I'd be surprised.
Yeah, I would say the line is there's those top 8 that seem very solid to me. So I'd say anything 8 or higher would be a shock. 9 or lower, not shocking, but I'd be a little surprised. I have Gerald Everett at 22, so I'm not in on him at all. But anyway, yeah, so all those things, support the YouTube channel, support the Patreon, support my work at DLF, fire emojis. Yes, my fire emojis. Yeah, just support all my work. Make sure to follow Ryan at RyanPros_FF, me at Tyler FF Creator, Conan at one sat one day.
That one day. Yep.
I got it.
Yeah, I got it.
It wasn't even in front of me.
Wow.
Wow. And yeah, just everything else. So I will be on tomorrow night. We'll be simulcast here and on DLF YouTube, which you should also subscribe to with SDLF. And from now on, it'll be me, Cal, and Addison. Me, Cal, and Addison. So permanently. So Addison will be a permanent third co-host every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. It'll be Cal, Addison, and I doing the SDLF together. And we will have our first one tomorrow. Tyler to the moon, thank you. I appreciate that. I have been doing pretty well lately, so thanks for everyone for your support on the channel. Traded Gabe for Ayuk. Yeah,
yep.
I like that, but I'm starting to like that a little less. And flip Ayuk, I would probably do that now while you still can.
2024 101.
Yes, Ohio State.
He's the
yes.
He's the next 101 after Bijan.
Yes, I see Cherion Henderson as having a great NFL future. I wouldn't say I know much about him, but I would say yes, a big future. He is the 2024 class 101 at the moment. Draft capital, yeah, on Ayuk, yeah, first round. All right. Thanks everyone for watching. It's been over a 2-hour show. This will be regular during the season though. And after the next couple of weeks, we'll have Conan for the full show every week. But until then, I will see you all